until the 1970s of the last century, Altena was a prospering town and has had a large uh, industrial force based on the production of steel wire, iron wire, TV and radio of the German company, well known, um, Grätz. And of course, also needles were produced in Altena. Starting in the 70s up to the late 80s, there was a decline in the labor forces of these industrial complexes. We lost the iron wire industry. We lost the company producing radios and TVs. They went to a bigger town in North Rhine-Westphalia. And we lost the needle industry to Mexico. So you can imagine we lost thousands of jobs in this little town with approximately 30,000 inhabitants in the 1970s. So there was a slowly but steady decline. Young people left Altena and went away with the industrial jobs and were looking in other towns for new jobs. So you can imagine that this was a fact. On the other hand, we were quite wealthy in the 70s, and the old councillors took the opportunity to refresh the infrastructure, new bars, new public library, new schools. And so they spread really more money than they had really at this time. And these were the facts, and the mentality of the former council were in the latest decades of the last century, that someone will come and will bring more money, that they can go on like they did 20 years ago. So there was no thinking about change management, really. There were many consequences of these declining years. For example, the population of Altena is in the middle, got older because we lost the young generation, and the older people who have had houses bought in Altena stayed here. The infrastructure got worse and worse because we have had no money for enough investments in the future. So you can imagine that even the people were dissatisfied with the situation in their town. The image of Altena went down, and the other towns around took this opportunity, and so many young people also went to other towns in the surroundings because they thought that they are more modern than Altena. And our financial system was nearly collapsing. It is not truthful to speak of a full bankruptcy, but there was no situation of an equal budget at the end of the year. We have had debts nearly every year, and this was a problem for the people, and even the sector of the shop owners and the traders was a problem because they lost customers because of the loss of population. When I was in office the first weeks, it was clear for me that we need a very long changement process in Altena to bring it to a good end. And the first step was to decide to make a symbolic first step. And I decided to change the old Mercedes with a part-time driver to a Volkswagen Polo, and which I'm driving myself. So this was a sign which was remarked by the public, and I saw that it was accepted by the people in the town. Um, so this was a good start, and 6 months after, we presented as a leader team of the town hall a changement list to the council, but with things which were very hard to decide, to close one or two public baths, for example, because we only were able and are able even today to care about one public bath in a good way. We advised to reduce the team of the town hall from, at this time, 180 team members to today 120. We advised them to close one primary school. In the meantime, we even closed two, but in the paper at this time there only was one primary school to close. We advised them to reduce the seats of the council themselves, to cut the subsidies for the sport clubs and for the elderly people in town. Um, all these actions were not used for clapping hands of the public. They were very dissatisfied, and there were very hard discussions in the public, and even with citizens, and between the councillors. And at the end, we got the votes for the changement process, and we started it. It was a changement process over years, because the reduction, for example, in infrastructure of housing came in truth 2000, starting in 2009, but we decided in 2001. So you need a lot of time to bring this at an end. And on this way, we have had to experience the experience of power of the people. I remember when I was on a gathering of the shop owner society, they demanded that the main street has to renew, but our budget was in the fall, and we have had a big debt, so we won't got money for foundation and to rebuild the street. So I made the or I've had the idea to make the main street with our own hands. The shop owners, the councillors, the mayor, and even normal people did this in between 8 action weeks, in between 4 years, and we renovated street of 600 meter length, and it is a normal street now. But we learned that people are able to do their own things in a society, and that they are strong. And later on, we got the opportunity of the Bertelsmann Foundation to take part in a pilot project, taking care about the situation of elderly people in town. And we worked 2 years with the citizens, with the older citizens, the younger citizens, on the situation, what we can change in town to make it fittable for the older generation. And it was very much interesting to see the power of the people, and the new style of working together. We were in a new role as a town hall. We were helper and not deliverer than before, and the volunteers got the role of the action makers and the actors, and we have to help them and to bring them into power to solve their problems. And at the end of 2 years, of a 2 year process, there was a Stellwerk founded. It's an agency of volunteers where people are coordinating, creating ideas, on a voluntary sector, and we are helping them or supporting them as hard as we can as a town hall. And today we are 12 years after the birth of the Stellwerk. They have 500 up to 1,000 volunteers which they reach, and they are engaging in so many fields. They are in helping us to plant parts of the inner town. They are giving help for young families through the experience of older people. They are helping refugees. They are organizing mobile courses for elderly people done by pupils, to give some examples. But the main lesson we learned is that the changing process needs, on one hand, deep cuts and hard decisions, and on the other hand, you get new opportunities out of it with the creativity of the volunteers living in your town, and these volunteers are your citizens and parts of your citizens. One of our main milestone was the event elevator to the castle of Altena. We have a very beautiful castle here in Altena, as you can see. This castle has had always 100,000 visitors, but less of them found the way into the inner town. So the people in discussing this problem said inside Altena 2015, we have to bring the castle down to the city. Some years later, there was an opportunity of a special funding of the regional government, and we decided to take part with the idea of building an elevator from the town level up inside the castle. And you are able to go 90 meters inside and 90 meters to the top, and then you are standing direct in the center of the castle, and we are providing the visitors with the opportunity to see little stories with new technique, for example, living surface, or you can see your face in a mirror as a monk, and so on. And it was very interesting when we started the project. The government came and said, you are not allowed to spread money, but we went on by making our idea over the event elevator. And some years later, we have had the funding, 90% from European Union, 5% from the regional level, and 5% from electrician company, which is delivering in the region around Altena. So we have had the luck of 100% financing this project of 7 million euro, but now it's delivering every year 60,000 visitors in the inner town circle, and the castle visitors went up to 150,000. The next strategic point I would like to stress out is the refugee question. We are willing to be the home of new people in Altena. Either they come from the European Union or they are coming outside of Germany, or they're coming as refugees. So we took the decision in 2015 because we have had the opportunities to take 100 refugees more than we have had to take at this time in Altena because of national rules. So it was a very good situation, because we got many articles in mass media over Altena, and we got 100 new people, and we try hard and we work hard on the situation to integrate them in our town. And the people who helped us were again the people of Stellwerk. They were very engaged by uh, creating language courses to help them with clothing, to help them in their flats. And we were able as a town to bring them not in special housing conditions. They were spread over the whole town in normal flats. So there were more interaction between the inhabitants and the new inhabitants. And this was also a question what we did um, to bring our town in a new situation. The last milestone I would like to mention is a pop-up idea. We have had a lot of empty shops because of internet and because of the age of the former shop owners. And when we opened the event elevator, there was idea to bring in new life into the inner town, and there was idea to bring people into town who don't have been there before, so they can make an experience if it's possible for them to open a shop. And so the framework was to open a shop for 8 weeks. Afterwards, you can close. It's normal, but if you are as satisfied that you look for a new place in the inner town or stay there where you are, this was also possible. And even today, we have 5 or 6 shops which are still opened through this idea. It's no solution against the problem of the internet and the local markets, but it's a way, a little help, and a new idea. And for us, it was indeed very useful. If you look to the situation of Altena now, I can't say we are at the end of the process really, because we will need some more years, but many things happened. We are still shrinking, but much slower than the experts said 10 years ago. We have today 70,000 inhabitants. Some of them thought we should be at the amount of 14,500 inhabitants. And we are since 3 years growing a little bit, not overall, but the age group of the people between 30 and 50 are growing, and they are coming with children. So we see that people are coming with children under 18. So today we have to deal with reopening of kindergarten places, which we closed 15 years ago. But this is normal life. We are very happy about this. It's a sign of future. And also a sign of future is that we are now in a good way with our budget. Since 3 years, we are able to have a equal budget, and more than this, we can reduce our debts. The debts were in the highest place at 74 million euro. Now we are back to 60 million euro. I think even this is a good sign. So a lot of things to do, a lot of things are remaining, as in any town at any stage and any time, but a good way. And it's for me a sign that shrinking is an opportunity to open your mind for new solutions and new ways out of the crisis. After 20 years in duty as a mayor of a town with many problems in shrinking situation, I may say that I have made 3 main points. You need the acceptance of a changement process. You have to create this. You have to bring in this discussion with a public and with a council that it's necessary to make a changement process, even if it's hard. Therefore, as a second point, you need a strong backbone. So you will come into a situation which are critical, and you have to stand your woman or your man in the fight with politicians, with the public, with the mass media. This is very very normal, and try to create the engagement of the local people. As stronger as you are in this third element, I think you have a much power, because volunteer people are ambassadors. They are, if they are willing to help, they are in favor of an idea, and they will present it to their neighbors and to other citizens in the town. And overall, don't fear to fail. I think this is a problem of politicians in all areas, on the local area, on the regional area, and even on the national and international area. Politicians have the right to fail, and you can fail, and you are doing politics, I suppose, with the same energy and the will I do, and I do it for the people. And if I fail, if I would fail, and people wouldn't re-elect me, it's not a problem at all. I've done it for years, so don't be so frightened to fail if you are pushing your town and your citizens and your council and your town hall. The final sentence: we as a team of Altena are very proud to be part of our regrow network in the framework of UpAct. For us, it's a possibility to reflect the things we did during 20 years in a very critical way, and also to take new ideas of our partners. And I'm very thankful that Mel Gasso and Manresa will host the next networks, and we hope to get new ideas for our way in Altena to deal with the future. And hopefully you are in the same situation, that all of you can pick out something of the things we did in Altena and transfer this in a suitable way inside your cities.